Hi everyone, this is Dee from Passion for Paper Beads on Etsy.com, and today I'm going to be working with a new tutorial how to make the sanded paper bead pendants. And this is the tutorial that you purchased from my Etsy shop, and if you don't have it you'll be able to go over after the end of the video and pick it up. So you have this tutorial and it takes you through step by step how to build the pendants that are pictured on the front, and today I'm going to show you a few of the steps and go over a few areas that people might be having difficulties with, especially the sanding. So we're going to get started. I'm using storybook pages from children's books that look like this, and this is from Aladdin. This page is actually from Aladdin, and it is page 44. And one of the things that I want to show you is when you're looking at your storybook pages and you notice that at the bottom the color is all green, and then here it's kind of like all purple, and it kind of goes across this way. So what you want to do when you cut your strips out to make your pendant is you want to get the most color changes in your strips. So I would say in this case, for this picture, you would want to cut your long strips going this way, so that it starts out this color on your first cut, then it goes to this color, and so forth and so on, so that each one of your layers is a different color. So to show you what I mean by that, I've already taken the same page. I was lucky I had like 4 copies of the book, so I've already started doing this. What I did was I took my page and I cut my strips the width I needed all the way down and all the way across, okay? And then I glued them together in the same order that I cut them. So in other words, when I glue my strips together, I want to make sure that every strip as I glue them together has the green across the bottom, okay? So after I did that and I glued all my strips together, then I cut out all my little rectangles with the size I'm working on. I've already laid these out in the order that I would like to build my pendant, and once they're glued together they'll look like this. What I want to show you real quick is the easiest way to build these pendants if you're not using a preset template, which I'll explain that more later. You simply take your first square and you're going to put it down, and then your next square, what you want to do is you want to trim just a little bit off, okay? A little bit off of two ends. You don't have to go all the way around, because you're only going to reduce it slightly from the first one. If you're not sure if you've got it reduced enough, flip it over so you can see the contrast, and that one needs just a tiny bit more off. It's better to just take a little bit than to get too much, because of course you don't want your gaps to be really big in between your squares. So again, I'm going to check this, and I'm checking the perimeter distance of the bottom one, what's going to be showing around the edge. And I see that that's a good match. There's a little bit showing all the way around the edge. So then I take this one and I use it to cut the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off, making the third, this will be the third level. We want it to match, okay? So I take my second level and set it down. Now we're looking at the third level. We're going to take a little bit off of the third level, off 2 ends. Pick up the second level, check it to see, and it's not quite small enough. So again, I'm just going to take off a tiny bit. You're basically going to keep doing this, and I'm not going to keep going through the whole stack to show you, but this is how you do it. So you just keep doing that till you get all of your levels cut. That one's still a little bit too big. I'm just taking off like not even 1/16 of an inch each time. It's just a hair's worth until I get them set. So then I'm looking at it and I say, okay, that's pretty good. I've got just a tiny bit showing. I'm not going to go through the whole stack. I've already done one and it's fully dry and ready to sand. But what I do want to show you is I want to show you how to glue these levels together. So if you turn them upside down so you make sure they stay in order, and take your base, and what I want you to do is I want you to take the next level and I want you to put glue on the back. You don't need to use a paintbrush. You can if you want, but you really don't need to. The main thing I want to show you is when you put this one on top, what I like to do is I like to push it like in a circular motion. you'll actually feel the paper start to tighten up. And right there, it's already starting to tighten up on me. And then you just want to check on your left, your right, your top, and your bottom. And you want to make sure that that first layer is as centered as you can get it. Because each layer, as you keep going, if it's really badly off center, your whole pendant, unfortunately, by the time you get to the top, is going to be off center. So you do that. I'll do one more. Show you just putting some glue all around like so, and then you put it down on top and you just sort of rotate it in a circle. That'll help make sure that that glue's fully fused with all the layers. There won't be any pockets, and when you squeeze it, the glue is going to come out a little bit. Just wipe it off. Okay, it's good to have paper towels or some other type of dry towel, not a wet one. The dry ones work better for getting it off your fingers. So you just want to make sure that that next level is in there centered. Okay, so once you've done all of the stacks, then you have something that looks like this. And here's where the questions are starting to come in about sanding. Some people will be using a Dremel. Let me grab my battery pack here. So it'll work a lot better with the battery in it. Some people will be using a Dremel, and some of you will be using nail files, depending, on how many you're going to make. My guess is if you're really planning on making a lot of these to sell or give away as gifts, you're probably going to want to use some kind of a power tool. I haven't looked into all the options. I just happen to own a Dremel, so that's what I'm going to show you. Perhaps a cordless drill. The bits will probably fit. They look like this. And they have a shank, so you might ask your husband. I'm sure he has something. You might be able to find a cordless drill. There'll also be some links at the end of the shop and in the tutorial for picking up kind of a knockoff of a Dremel that's a little cheaper. Anyway, this pendant right here, I've already started filing, so you can see how the curves start to form. And this is the raw side before any filing. And what I've told you to do in the tutorial is to sand at an angle this way. Okay? So you are just going to sand the rough edges off. You want to start getting those rough edges off until it's not going to be super smooth right from the get-go. You just want to start leveling it out. You're going to do this all the way around your pendant, and I'm not going to sit here and sand it because the video would probably be about an hour long if I was to manually sand this thing from beginning to end. I just want to show you because some of you are asking me. Now you can already see that that's smoothing out quite a bit. This is a brand new cheap dollar store. I get them in a pack like this at our 99-cent store. There's 16 of them in a pack, so that sets you up pretty good to make quite a few pendants for not a lot of money. Anyway, you're working at an angle like this, and then when you go to do the top part of the bead, you want to file this way. And I'm working at a different angle a little bit, but you get the point. Here, you're going to start filing just on the edge of the papers, not all the way into the center, just in there till you see your design start to form. And then for the corners, you will just go across this direction. Okay? Once you get those rough edges knocked off quite a bit, you can go in with the nail file that's well used. I save these because they're great for buffing in the end. You're going to go in and you're going to continue doing this until you smooth it out more. If you go this direction, it might get too white. You just kind of have to play with it, and you'll find your own rhythm for sanding that works for you. But basically, you can see the colors are starting to come up there. Once you get this all smoothed out all the way around and you're happy with it, then you'll start sanding the top to get your design to come out. It's too early to do that because I haven't sanded the whole thing, but I'll show you some in a few minutes that are already to that point. So that's basically the sanding if you're doing it manually with the files. Now, if you want to use the Dremel, this is going to make a little noise, so I'll try and speak a little louder. You're going to use the sanding bit, which is just a piece of paper that's sandpaper. It's round, it's on a little thing. And what I want you to do is turn this on, and I can't tell you what speed to use because every tool is going to be different, but you just want to kind of not super slow, but at a medium speed. And what I want you to do is I just want you to take this, and I don't want you to push it into the paper, but just let it glide. Just let it glide over the paper. It's going to take those edges off pretty fast. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to turn your bead entirely white. So you're just taking some of the rough edges off. Okay? And you'll do this a little bit to the top. You don't want to go crazy with it, because if you go too much, it's going to give you a real lacy kind of look, which I'll show you one of those too. But just for the sake of making it look like the pictures in the tutorials, this is all you're doing, is you're just knocking off those rough edges. And this has got a straight side, so if you hold it at the right angle, it should be pretty much hitting all of those edges. It also, you're taking a little bit off the top. Okay, just like that. You can take a little bit off the corner edges. Okay, and then if you're working with this, my Dremel, you have to push the button in, and I'm going to assume that most drills or whatever you're using work the same way. You want to open your shank a little bit, take that out. Now I'm going to switch over to the sanding stone. And that's going to be the one where you're going to really do most of your work. There we go. You don't want to over tighten that. And so this one, you can turn it up a little higher to start, and then you'll turn it down as you go. So the sanding stone is one you're going to use quite a bit. And that's going to just take it down to a much smoother edge. It's really going to file those edges down. Now you can see that it's starting to get some white. You're going to get some white because the inside of the storybook paper is white. So you're going to get some white showing, but you don't want to sand it so much that the whole thing turns white. So what I suggest doing is taking this to a point where you're like, okay, I think maybe I should stop with the electric tools, and then go back in with your manual files and finish it up. If you're just not comfortable doing it start to finish with the power tools, just go back in with these and work with it. Okay, so that's taking it down pretty smooth. And then the last one is the buffing pad. And the buffing pad is going to bring it up to a really nice shine. And we have just spent 15 minutes talking about just how to do the colored part and sanding. And there's so much more to tell you, so it's probably going to take this thing like 2 days to load. This is the buffing tip, and this is going to bring everything super smooth. And it's also going to help you start bringing some of your color back up. So this one you can turn up pretty high. It's not going to really dig into the paper or sand a lot. It's just going to really smooth it out. Okay, so that is the buffing tip, and you'll be using that on this whole thing till it should be just super smooth. So you can see all your lines forming there. Okay, so I hope that helped with the sanding. Now we're going to move on to the next part, and I'm going to show you really fast. Remember how I was showing you how to put the glue on, and then just simply taking this and rotating the two pieces until it starts to firm up? Go ahead and do that with, you're going to use 4 of these to build the center. So you will glue the 4 together. It'll look like this when it's all done. Then you mark your lines for cutting if you're making a hole. If you don't want to make a hole and you know you're going to either use a glue-on bail or drill front to back or wire wrap the whole thing and you don't need a hole, then you can just skip this step altogether. But if you're going to make a hole across the top, then you would cut on this line and on this line, and you're going to remove the center, and you simply re-glue onto one of the solid pieces here. You re-glue the top and the bottom part so you have a gap, and that is going to be the section that's going to allow you to get 2 pieces of wire in there to come up and wire wrap. You're going to just simply glue another one down on the top, and that'll give you your base for your sanded pendant. Okay. I tried to put everything in layers so we can see what we're doing here. So here I have one that's completely sanded and been attached. Once you finish your whole design, it's pretty thin. Then you just glue it onto your base. You've filed your corners, your edges, got everything nice and smooth. So the next thing that you want to do after you've got it exactly how you want it, okay? I have put, this is Mod Podge hard coat in here. This is what I put in there, Mod Podge hard coat. What I've done is I've gone in and I have put a thin layer of Mod Podge, and I'm going to show you on this one because I'm going to work on that one. This is how I do it. I just put some in the middle. Get some of these things out of the way. I just put some in the middle like so, and I take my finger and I just massage it. Really, I'm massaging it into the top of this, making sure that it's getting in any of the little indentations, and that'll help smooth it out. And it really doesn't leave fingerprints or swirl marks if you rub it in well. And then you just set that aside to dry. After it's fully dry, I like to go in with what I call one of my dead nail files, one that's just not removing much anymore. And I would take it, and these have already been done and they're dry. And what I do is I just take one of these old nail files that are pretty worn out, and I just lightly buff across the top. Okay, so you just do that till it feels really smooth. Then you put another coat of Mod Podge on top and let it dry. You're not going to buff it after the second one, not yet. So then what you're going to do, I want you to leave that last coat of the Mod Podge hard coat on top. It's kind of a buffer, so when you start painting, if you manage to get paint on the face of the bead, you'll be able to buff it off and it won't be a big deal. This is a triangular makeup sponge, and I really like these because you can see it's got that nice straight edge, and you can just simply put the paint on and pull down and line up your edges pretty nice for painting. So we're going to do that really quick. One of the things that I usually do, and I'm not, is just, you can see the top of my paint's a mess. I just like put the paint on the sponge and then just sort of rub it into the sponge so it's all the way up to the edge of the tip. All you need to do is you just take the sponge right to the edge and go straight down like so. Okay? It's really that easy to paint it. And it, like I said, if you get a little bit on the face of the bead and you see it, go ahead and wipe it off. But don't panic, because when you do that last buffing before you base coat the whole bead, then you can get those little specks of paint off the sides. A little more paint. This is cardboard, so the paint's going to stick really well. It's going to soak in. And you can get really creative, and you can do like one light color, and I'll show you some finished ones here in a second. One light color and then go back over it with another metallic like a gold or an antique bronze, copper, whatever you want. Okay, so the edge is completely painted now. So now what you do is you just put some more paint on your sponge, put it on its back side, and just paint. Making sure that it's covering the cardboard. And ta-da! You're done. You let it dry, then you give it one more coat. You check your face and see if there's anything that you need to sand off, if you got any little paint around the sides in some place you don't want it. And that's it. So that's painting, and it's really that simple. Okay, so we've gone over, these are the round ones, by the way. Should have told you this. This is a, let me think. This is from Hercules. This is from Winnie the Pooh. So you got Winnie the Pooh, Hercules, and this is from A Bug's Life. So you can see some different colors, and once they're all shiny, they'll look really, really good. Okay, next layer of fun, the finished product. Here we go. Right here we have a whole bunch of finished pendants. Most of you have already seen this one. This is one that I did the wire wrapping, and I just added the organza necklace cord to it. These are a bunch of new shapes that I will have the templates up very soon. As soon as this video finishes loading, I'll be able to do the next one, which will show how to work with the templates, and we'll get that up. This is the heart one that I was showing you on my Facebook page that was actually made out of scrapbook paper, and that's the finished one on the necklace chain. We talked about the square in the tutorial and the rectangle, so there's the two that we were talking about in the tutorial. You can use a variety of different kinds of glue-on bales. They glue on really easily, like so. You can see the back side here. This has a cranberry. I was talking about using two paints. Cranberry first, and then it had some of the antique brass paint over it. I think I've got one in a lighter. Here we go. Here's one that's lighter. Maybe that'll show it better. I started with kind of almost a mint green color, and then I did a little bit of the antique bronze over it because it was just a little too bluish looking, and then I thought it was nice. It picked up the colors in the front, but it was just a little too much. So to tone it down and kind of make it look a little aged, I just used some darker paint over the lighter one. Here's the diamond. These are drilled straight through, front to back. And there's a cross finished. I'm not sure what you'd call this shape, but it's really pretty. There's a little heart. So little I can't hold on to it. A little heart, and it's got the hole from top to bottom. When you're making your base, the hole doesn't have to go from left to right. You can go top to bottom if that works for you. I actually did both sides of the heart. And there's an oval one finished. Here's the crescent moon. And all of these ones I'm showing you now will be in the templates. Another one of the elongated hearts. You can see that this one here has less layers and this one has more. That this one's more raised up in the middle. And I'll be talking about that in the next tutorial also. Or I should say the next video. This is the teardrop shape. The more standard looking heart shape. The hex star. And then the one that we were just doing, and this is a finished one. This is Red Riding Hood. So I hope you can see that. So the only other thing that I wanted to share with you is this is the nail files that I was talking about in the tutorial, and they're really good for smoothing out the edges of the cardboard base, and they have some little round tips and some little fine tips, and when you're doing ones like the heart, it helps you to file to get in there and really clean your edges before you put everything together. The other thing that I would suggest is like some old t-shirts. These are really great for after you do all your sanding to rub and make sure that all the dust and everything off them really clean, and they work really good for cleanup. And I think that's it. The only other thing I wanted to tell you about is dipping the pendants. Obviously, if they have holes, you can just string it on fishing line and dip it in your vibrance and hang it up. And then after about 5 minutes, you just want to really keep an eye on this bottom edge that it doesn't puddle, and the back side. And if it does, you can simply just take a piece of paper towel and just hold it right up to where the puddle is, and it'll just soak right into the paper towel. If you're glazing some that do not have holes, like this one, what I've done is I started setting up, I set up something that looks like this. I find a cap that fits with the size of whatever I'm dipping. So if it's more square, you might need it bigger. But what I do is I just put gloves on, put a glove on, and I dip it like this into the vibrance, and then I just set it so that it's like that. And I leave it for 5 minutes. At 5 minutes, you'll be able to come in and touch it up here at the top, pick it up, and you'll be able to check here for drips in the back side. Each time you dip it, try and pick it up somewhere different so you're not removing the vibrance. But honestly, the other way I did it was I hope this will pick this up. I used a bottle just like this, and I put my gloves on and I dip this in the vibrance, and then I just set it in like so. It's okay if the inside of the bottle is touching the back side, but don't let it touch the front side. And just let it sit there and drip into the bottle, and that way you can glaze the ones that don't have holes. And the same with this, I did the same thing with that. And I think the diamond, I also used the bottle. You just want it, maybe not. I think I probably used the other way, like I was showing you. Oopsie. Like I was showing you with this. I think I probably put this one on an angle like this. I don't remember, I've done so many of them, but I'm pretty sure that I dried that one in that position. So that gives you some ideas of how to glaze the ones that do not have the holes. And that's everything that I have for you today. And let's hope that this doesn't take 2 days to load. I'll be back soon with the templates and showing you how to do the new shapes. And thank you for watching.